Welcome to the Explainer. Let me kick things off by challenging you with a pretty straightforward, yet absolutely critical question. Are you treating every booking date equally? Because look, if you are, you're definitely leaving money on the table.
Spot on. And that's exactly why today we're unpacking the RevenueMind 28 Methods framework. This isn't just, another generic performance dashboard. RevenueMind is a complete end-to-end decision system. It's essentially your ultimate playbook, designed to answer one crucial, high-stakes question. For literally every single date on your calendar, what should we do next?
To answer that, this explainer will systematically break down all your stay dates into 7 core demand groups. And here is a fun little Easter egg for you before we start. Within each of these 7 groups, there are 4 specific subgroups based on your recent room night pickup and your average daily rate. So 7 groups times 4 subgroups, yep, that's exactly how we get the incredibly powerful 28 methods. Let's dive right in. Section 1, the 7 demand groups playbook. Now, to make this super systematic, I'm going to put on my analyst hat for each group. I'll be defining the core definition and the business condition for you.
Sounds good. And I'll step in right after as the strategist, delivering the tactical, boots-on-the-ground main actions you actually need to take.
Let's kick things off with Group 1, maximum occupancy. The core definition here is pretty simple, really. The date is already full, or honestly, it's close enough to full that there's barely any remaining inventory to sell. Imagine you run a 52-room hotel and you already have, say, 50 to 52 rooms on the books. The main sales game for this date, it is basically over. So from a business conditions standpoint, the hotel has practically hit its maximum capacity. The absolutely crucial thing to realize here is that your real danger is no longer a lack of demand. Nope. The true risk shifts entirely to losing rooms, whether that's through cancellations, unexpected no-shows, or just poor quality bookings. Exactly. So as strategists, our actions have to ruthlessly protect that final result. You've got to check your cancellation risks, review the wash you saw last year, validate any uncertain bookings, and carefully decide if a controlled overbooking strategy is needed. But hey, this is equally important. Learn from this date. Figure out what low-value channels you probably should have controlled way earlier so you don't make the exact same mixed mistakes next year. All right, moving right along to Group 2, excess demand. The definition here is a date that's already sitting above your high occupancy threshold, which is usually around 70% on the books, and the forecast confidently says it's going to finish near full. Guys, this is a highly lucrative state to be in. The business condition is crystal clear. Demand is simply overpowering your remaining supply. Your forecast is pointing to a massive 90 to 95% final occupancy, or even higher. This is the exact condition where your hotel can make the absolute most money. So your mindset has to shift completely from how do we get more bookings to how do we squeeze peak value out of these last remaining rooms. Oh, absolutely. And that means it's time for some aggressive controls. Push your rate wherever possible. Slam the door on wholesale channels and shut down those low-value discounts immediately. You have to protect your remaining retail inventory before cheap business sneaks in and steals those super valuable final rooms. And always, always double-check. Are your current rates actually high enough for this level of market compression? Okay, let's transition into Group 3, Uncaptured Potential. Now, the definition here is a date that is above that high threshold, but unlike Group 2, it is not expected to actually reach full occupancy. It has a remarkably strong base, sure, but it's kind of stalling out. The business condition here tells us that the hotel isn't capturing enough additional demand to finish the job. But hey, here is the good news. This is a highly recoverable state. The date is so incredibly close to becoming highly valuable, if you just manage it correctly and decisively. Which means it is time to go on the hunt. You need to identify exactly what demand is missing. Is it a specific segment? A specific booking channel? Look at your route pickup and compare it side by side against last year. Your singular, laser-focused tactical goal here is to unlock that remaining potential and literally force this date right up into the excess demand group. Next up, Group 4, Emerging Opportunity. This is defined as a date sitting below your high threshold right now, but, and this is key, the pickup patterns strongly indicate it's going to become high demand later on. Think of this group as your framework's crucial early warning radar system. The business condition isn't going to be obvious if you're only glancing at on-the-books data. But the framework is actively signaling that future local event demand, or maybe short lead time retail demand, is on its way.
Look, if you just passively watch your numbers and wait until occupancy naturally hits 70%, it will already be way too late.
Right. So your strategic actions here are all about anticipation. You've got to watch these dates like a hawk and protect your inventory early. Close out wholesale and low-value allotments well before you hit that 70% mark. Reserving your capacity early is literally the biggest advantage you can create. It stops early low-value bookings from eating up the rooms that your high-paying retail guests are going to want a few weeks down the line.
Now we enter Group 5, which is honestly the most deceptive category, last year excess. The core definition is a date that was super strong or fully booked last year, but this year, it's currently lagging below the high occupancy threshold. This group acts as a massive blinking warning light against assuming history will just automatically repeat itself.
The business condition reveals a really dangerous gap, usually caused by false confidence. Maybe last year was highly compressed because of a specific group, a one-off special event, or a targeted source market. But this year, the pickup just doesn't confirm that same demand. Honestly, the original demand driver might simply be gone.
Which means you need an immediate investigation. Dig straight into the data to identify exactly what made that date so strong last year and verify if that specific source is actually coming back. If it isn't, you must find alternative replacement demand and quickly. And crucially, do not hold your rates stubbornly high based purely on last year's performance when you don't actually have the base to support it this year.
Moving on to Group 6, we have mid-demand. The definition is straightforward. These dates are sitting comfortably right in the middle band between your low demand and high demand thresholds. They aren't clearly high, and they definitely aren't clearly low. The business condition here represents your everyday normal optimization periods. You're seeing totally standard pickup behavior. And while these dates obviously matter, they usually aren't going to create your highest revenue upside. So the condition dictates a need for steady, consistent improvement rather than frantic overmanagement. Strategically speaking, you just want to maintain a sensible, healthy rate positioning and keep an eye on your pickup. Aim to edge out last year's performance, but make sure you proportion your effort correctly. Save your maximum energy and your most aggressive actions for the higher impact dates we discussed earlier. Don't waste your precious time over-analyzing a date that inherently has limited upside.
Finally, we reach Group 7, low demand. The definition here is a date that is sitting way below the hotel's low demand threshold. There is simply very little market compression here, and honestly, the demand is genuinely weak.
The business condition is a bit of a harsh reality check. If the market demand simply isn't out there, dropping your rates in a vacuum is usually only going to dilute your revenue. Think about it for a second. If you slash a rate from 120 down to 100 and you still pick up the exact same number of rooms, well, you haven't stimulated demand at all. You've just given away your profit margin.
Right, so the strategic playbook demands extreme discipline here. Avoid that urge for uncontrolled, desperate discounting. Test your price changes very carefully to see if they actually create new demand. You simply have to accept that some dates just have limited upside. So take a breath and prioritize your effort back onto those excess demand and emerging opportunity dates where your actions actually move the needle. So we circle back to our original question. What should we do next? Well, the sheer brilliance of the RevenueMind system is recognizing that dates are incredibly fluid. A low-demand date can suddenly pick up and shift into mid-demand. An emerging opportunity can completely blossom into excess demand if you protect it early enough. By dynamically classifying every single date into these 7 groups and their 28 submethods, you completely stop guessing and you start acting.
Absolutely. And it begs the ultimate question for your own calendar today. Which of your seemingly normal dates are actually hiding an emerging opportunity right now, just waiting for you to take control?